Decrepit, rotting and warped are a few ways the Smoothskins try and describe the ghouls in the Fallout games, but many of them are also just incredibly weird and sometimes completely insane. So here are Fallout's most bizarre ghouls.
Glad to see you're finally awake. I can't believe they made you do that stupid ceremony.
Undoubtedly, one of the strangest ghouls in history has to be Harold, and in many ways, he's not even really a ghoul. He was once a human child, living in Vault 29, before leaving and eventually becoming contaminated with the forced evolutionary virus.
Fair change, old friend, old pal. Can you help a poor mutant down on his luck?
The effects of the virus can be fairly wide-ranging, and it's most commonly associated with the creation of super mutants, however, not in Harold's case. He initially mutated into what looked like a fairly ordinary ghoul, but over time a small, entirely new species of tree started to grow out of the side of his head.
No, Herbert is the tree. Bob is his real name, but I call him Herbert because I think it's pretty funny. But I'm still in here too. What's left of me? The name's Harold.
Bob the tree continued to grow in size and even began to produce seeds. Harold eventually became overwhelmed by the plant and they both became rooted into the ground in the northern capital wasteland.
See, Bob used to ride around on top of my head. Sunk his roots right in there, you know. Well, eventually he got bigger than me, and then I pretty much ended up inside.
People began to worship him as a god, forming a small town around him and a cult known as the Tree Minders.
I'm so glad you're here. It's been a while since anyone's visited us, and he's been waiting for someone like yourself to arrive.
Bob began to blossom and many plants grew in the area, forming what became known as the Oasis. Harold is the most unique being in all of Fallout. He's no normal ghoul. Ghouls are created for either massive doses of radiation or long-term exposure. He's largely the product of the forced evolutionary virus, but he's also certainly not a super mutant like others that were exposed to it. He's a unique combination of low levels of radiation damage and indirect exposure to the virus. So while he's maybe only 50% ghoul, he's 100% bizarre.
I had you brought in here to ask a very simple favor. Would you please kill me?
Located in the county sewer mainline in Fallout 3 is a hostile ghoul named Gallo, who while not feral, is still completely insane. He seems to have been recently celebrating his birthday, and has all the usual party favours for his guests to dine on, including an impressive Nuka-Cola collection and a wide variety of feral ghoul cutlets. Yummy. It seems the mixture of solitude, sewer gas, radiation, and a ghoul's long lifespan have driven him completely insane, and your arrival at his birthday is far from welcome. Jamie's story is both sad and bizarre. As a human, he was the son of a ranger in the mid-wastelands. One day his father returned home with a thick book bound in an odd black leather and covered in strange glyphs. His father believed it would fetch a high price, so he attempted to sell it to the Brotherhood of Steel, but was unsuccessful, so instead he vowed to return the book to its source. His father began to slowly lose his mind, and eventually abandoned Jamie in an old hospital, presumably driven by the need to return the book. At this time, Jamie was in his late 20s and decided to try and track down his father and stop him getting himself hurt. He overcame many difficulties on the journey, but eventually tracked his father to the Dunwich building.
Don't like the look of this place. Don't like the smell. Gives me the creeps. Don't want to risk a shot at the crows till I know what's in there. Sneaking in tonight.
He also found the book his father had been keeping, but although in a dangerous building filled with ghouls, he felt an overwhelming need to rest against an unusual obelisk in the bottom of the building. When he awoke, he began to turn into a ghoul himself, and seems to be under the control of some otherworldly being.
Feast for the deep temple. Born again. Here. Al-Hazaret. Yes.
Jason Bright and Chris Haversam are both pretty bizarre characters from Fallout New Vegas.
God, but are you ugly. Get upstairs and talk to Jason before I throw up just from looking at you.
Chris is actually a human who thinks he's a ghoul, so while he doesn't get his own spot on this list, I think he deserves an honourable mention.
Hello, Wanderer. Please forgive us our humble surroundings. Our true home awaits us in the far beyond.
Jason Bright, however, more than earns his spot. He's the leader of the Bright Brotherhood, a religious cult that Chris is a part of, and he's a very interesting character.
I am Jason Bright, the prophet of the Great Journey. All the ghouls you see here are members of my flock.
Not only is his voice completely distinct from the normal gravity voice of a ghoul, but he's also a religious figure to the ghouls who follow him. And he's more than just a preacher, he's their messiah. Jason is guiding the Brotherhood on the Great Journey, which involves launching themselves into the sky in a series of rockets. The whole thing is pretty bizarre. Is Jason just a madman, leading those who follow him to certain doom, or is he actually destined to guide them to the far beyond? With the ghouls' naturally enhanced lifespans and resistance to radiation, could they actually survive this? I wonder where they ended up. Beatrix Russell is a gun for hire, employed by the followers of the apocalypse, but she also has some rather particular interests.
Who doesn't enjoy a little pinch and squeal every once in a while?
She doesn't like working for the followers, mainly because they don't allow her to drink and things are pretty dull around there. However, thanks to her unique combination of ghoulification and enjoyment of a little bit of pinch and squeal, as she puts it, she's the perfect candidate to satisfy some of the Atomic Wranglers Casino's customers' darkest desires. To be honest, I think those seeking Beatrix's services are probably even more bizarre than her. Plus, just imagine the smell. Sebastian was destined to be in the now cancelled Black Isle Studios Fallout 3 game, and while his story is not technically canon, he is still one of the most bizarre ghouls in Fallout history. First, as I'm sure you know, ghouls are sterile. They cannot make little baby ghouls, but Dr. Sebastian is looking to change that. It's his life's mission to find a successful and repeatable way to procreate ghouls, and he will stop at nothing to find a solution. He discovered that normal humans would have to be the catalyst for ghoul reproduction, so he began to experiment on the smoothskins, savagely going through human hosts like a butcher in a slaughterhouse. And he will continue to go through every human he can find until none remain. He's also one of the most visually grotesque ghouls in history. He was actually a plastic surgeon before the bombs dropped, and since his transformation, he has attempted to attach smooth human skin to himself to appear more normal. Although he's quite mad, he's also a genius, and has been successful in creating born ghouls, at least in 2% of his attempts. Did we miss any other bizarre ghouls that you uncovered on your journeys in the Wasteland? Let me know in the comments below. As always, this is James Fakers, saying thanks for watching, and enjoy the game.